Welcome everybody to Modern Day Debate. Today we're going to be debating flat versus globe. And to get us started out, we have Flatzoid on the floor. So Flatzoid, the floor is yours and you have up to 10. Oh, not Flatzoid. Sorry, Peter. We decided this. I'm so used to this Flatzoid. You always go first when we host you. So Peter's going to take the floor. So Peter, the floor is yours and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, we sure can.
All right, I'm going to try to share my screen.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm going to fix up these names right quick. I knew I should. I forgot something. I got to hit save.
all right, can you see this
Yep.
PowerPoint presentation?
We are ready to go.
And if I full screen it, can you still see it?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, excellent. So we all ready?
We are ready. Yep. I'll start your timer right now.
So, a note on topic. Flatzoid may try to bring up the motion of the Earth, modern cosmology, the vacuum of space, or gravity. However, just because he disagrees with all of science does not mean that he can assign to me a burden to defend it. I am only here to debate the shape of the Earth. Scientists knew the Earth was a sphere for centuries before gravity was even studied. They had a geocentric model with a stationary spherical Earth. Let's catch you up to speed on medieval times first before we worry about the rest. Flat Earthers say their belief is the default, similar to ancient cultures, and that belief in a globe is the anomaly. This is a lie because of one simple question of cosmology. Where does the sun go at night? In general, ancient cultures believed it either went under the earth or outside the firmament to somewhere unknown. This means they assumed the whole world had one universal time of day or night. In the age of time zones, modern flat earthers try to resurrect flat Earth by saying that at night the sun gets too far away to see. As we'll soon see, this claim not only separates their model from ancient ones, but also violates basic observational science. It traces back to a 19th century misfit named Samuel Robotham, and for that reason, I call it Robothimism. Robothamists use this meme a lot. It slaps your eye with an impression that their cosmology is similar to these, and assumes you will never actually research them. Well, I did, with a focus on that basic question: where does the sun go at night? In Sumerian cosmology, there was a tunnel under the earth called the Road of the Sun that the sun traveled through every night. There's a whole scene in the Epic of Gilgamesh, Tablet 9, when Gilgamesh travels along this tunnel into the underworld. In Egyptian belief, the sun god Ra traveled in a boat through the underworld every night and was reborn in the east every morning. This nightly journey was central to Egyptian religious practices and was described in great detail in the Book of Gates. In Aztec belief, the earth goddess Tlaltecutli swallows the sun every evening and vomits it again in the morning. In fact, I did my best to survey ancient cultures all over the world. I found only a small handful of isolated scraps that could be twisted to support Robothamism, and otherwise a landslide against it. Even the favorite cosmology of Robothamists, that of the ancient Hebrews, explicitly undermines them. Most of the diagrams they show for biblical cosmology take influence from this 1909 Mormon source, which in turn takes from the Book of Enoch, which describes in great detail the 6 portals in the eastern firmament and 6 in the west through which the sun enters and exits the earthly realm every morning and evening. These heavenly portals still appear in the diagrams that flat earthers parade around online to this day. And if that were not enough, Jesus himself in the Sermon on the Mount says that God makes the sun rise. The Greek word for rise, anatello, has an upward connotation, which again contradicts Robothamism. Ironically, Eric Dubé is closer to accurate when he calls your view the Vedic model than you are when you call it biblical. Speaking of the Bible, we've heard the claim there are over 200 flat earth verses. All of these are twisted out of context, and the real count is 0. There's a property of language that can be either phenomenological or ontological. Phenomenological means pertaining to phenomena, or how we perceive the world, whereas ontological means concerning the absolute nature of something apart from how we perceive it. Now, you need to realize 2 things about phenomenological language. 1, it can be quite literal, and 2, there's nothing inherently wrong or untrue about it. We use this type of language all the time. Consider some examples. Joe stood on the roof and looked down. The streets below swarmed with people the size of ants. Judy looked out the car window and watched the trees zip past. No matter how high you go, the horizon rises to your eye level. There is absolutely no reason to call these statements figurative or metaphors or lies. Each of them can be both literal and true, although the last one is not. But ontologically, there are no ant-sized people, no zipping trees, and no levitating landforms. These are simply descriptions from an observer's eye, nothing more and nothing less. And with almost every single Bible verse used by flat earthers, not one shred of context suggests an ontological view. The ontology of Earth could not be further from the verse's topic. Even flat earthers say that certain verses are phenomenological. I mentioned Matthew 5:45. There's also Ephesians 4:26. If Flatzoid says these describe how the sunrise or sunset look to an observer, that's phenomenological. If we can agree on that for these verses, why can't we for Joshua 10 or Job 38? Pick a lane, don't swerve back and forth. That's a dishonest hermeneutic. And don't ask me for a verse supporting the globe. That's a straw man. I freely admit there is none. The Bible never discusses the shape of Earth as it looks from an absolute perspective. In fact, the very concept of an absolute perspective on the Earth is a modern idea. You are back projecting that onto the text without even realizing it, and then twisting it to support your ignorance. So what do we actually observe? Well, first let's take some remedial geometry. Through any 2 points, you can draw either a straight line or a curve. To fully disambiguate, you need at least 3 points. The more the merrier. Some examples. Flat earthers love to reframe Eratosthenes' experiment with flat earth assumptions, but this only works because he measured from 2 points. Measure from a third, and flat earth is shattered. Same with Polaris. For any 2 measurements, you can make it work, kind of, on a flat earth, but with a third, you will shatter it, and so on. A similar concept here with arc length of longitude from your friend Where is Wally using 1,300 data points, but you need at least 3. Robothomism exploits this by isolating you to guarantee you never have that. They say, stop trusting what you've been told all your life and start looking at things for yourself, which really translates to don't get help from others and cripple yourself from doing much science. Well, it turns out even playing by these rules, you can get 3 points by varying time instead of location, and that's precisely what I did. This diagram is important, so we might come back to it later. This shows by simple trigonometry that a Robothomist sun would follow an arctangent function through time. I demonstrated this visually. Can you guys see that video?
Yep, we can.
I demonstrated this visually by holding a flashlight at my waist and walking straight away from the camera until it was gone. If we overlay frames at a constant interval, we see the distance between images shrinks dramatically, then sits for a long time before it's gone. That's what the arctangent function predicts. But this is not what the sun does, and I took a 3-hour time lapse to prove it. If you are trying to measure the sun's size, exposure is a problem, as you can see with this video of filter on our camera here. To show this, I had 2 identical cameras side by side, one with welding glass and one without. But size was not the main thing I was measuring. It was position. I used a compass and sextant, pictured here, to measure hard numbers, but the footage speaks for itself. When we overlay frames like we did with the flashlight, it's completely different. The distance between images stays the same the whole time. It just pretty much goes plop straight down into the horizon below eye level. So Flatzoid, you will no doubt try to dodge this by saying sunset is an optical illusion. That's called a rescuing device, something with no positive evidence in itself, which actually contradicts other claims you make elsewhere. Unfortunately for you, we know how light refraction works, and it does not help you here. The sun absolutely does not set by moving too far away. Now pair that with the principle of time zones. Flatzoid is 6 hours ahead of me, which made scheduling this debate rather difficult. We all agree, I hope, that if I had done this exact experiment 800 miles east, it would have given identical results but an hour earlier. That means that at all times, for someone somewhere on Earth, the sun is currently going below their eye level. It cannot be both above and below a flat Earth at the same time. The only answer is that eye level is relative, changing by 1 degree every 69 miles.
1 minute.
What's that?
You have 1 minute left on the floor.
Oh, thank you. As assuredly as 1 + 1 = 2, sunset plus time zones equals globe. So Flatzoid, I want you to answer 3 challenges. Number 1, where did you or Samuel Robotham get your cosmology? If you say from the Bible, show me 1 Bible verse that clearly describes a Robothamist local sun. Number 2, without being selective, explain to me how the sun goes up and down in Matthew 5:45 and Ephesians 4:26. I want you to apply your own logic to yourself. If saying that's how it appears denies God's word in Joshua 10, then it does so here as well. Give me a consistent hermeneutic. And number 3, I measured the sunset and proved it goes beneath us. If you disagree, then explain where I went wrong. Show the math, show the missing factor, show a scientific theory that explains my evidence. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for your introductory statement. We will get back to our main debate screen there, so I'll just stop the share on my end, don't mind me, and we'll go back over to our main screen. So thank you, everybody, for coming out for the debate. Thank you again, Peter, for your introductory statement. We are Modern Day Debate. We welcome you here, everybody hanging out. We hope you hit the like button. We hope you enjoy our discussion today, Flat versus Globe. We are a neutral debate platform hosting debates on science, politics, and religion. We hope that y'all are going to hang out and participate. We got a question Q&A. We do super chats here, so if you want to ask a question to either of our speakers, if you get a question in now through super chat, it'll be asked nice and early. With all that out of the way, all the housekeeping, I'm going to hang up the broom here, and Flatzoid, you have 10 minutes on the floor. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you, MDD, for hosting this, and Peter for this. I was under the impression we're going to do more biblical based, but I'm happy you brought up so many other cosmologies and things, which is great, because I actually decided I'm going to bring up some Christian scholars who described as the Bible depicting a flat earth, and atheist scholars, so we can go through that. And there is an issue I do have with the Rebuttal point, though, because I've never claimed to be a Rebuttalist, so that's a bit weird, but we'll get to that. Anyway, let's start with some Christian scholars who said the Bible depicts a flat earth. First of all, we'll check Paul H. Seeley. Seeley is known for his work on ancient Near Eastern cosmology. In his articles, he has argued that the biblical cosmology, including references to the firmament, in other words, rakia, in Genesis 1, reflects a belief in a solid sky and a flat earth. He suggests that the biblical writers shared a common ancient Near Eastern worldview, which included a flat earth. We can go to John H. Walton. Walton is an Old Testament scholar who has written extensively on the cultural context of the Bible. In his book, The Lost World of Genesis 1, he explains that the ancient Israelites' understanding the cosmos was similar to that of their neighbors, which often included a flat earth and a solid dome sky. Peter Enns is a various writings of one touched upon the ancient Hebrew cosmological views. He points out that the biblical descriptions of the world, such as the pillars of the earth and the foundations of the heavens, suggest a flat earth model consistent with other ancient Near Eastern cosmologies. And my favorite, last but not least, is Michael Heiser. In his book, The Unseen Realm, Heiser discusses the ancient Israelite worldview, including their cosmology. He highlights that the depictions in the Bible are consistent with three-tiered universe, which includes a flat earth, a solid firmament, and an underworld. If we move on to the atheist scholars, we do have Hector Avalos. He was a professor of religious studies and well-known atheist. He written extensively on biblical texts and the ancient context. In his work, he has pointed out that the biblical cosmology reflects ancient Near Eastern views, which include the idea of a flat earth. Richard Carrier, Christopher Hitchens, and Michael Shermer. Now, the thing we have to understand is, if we have what we would call hostile witnesses, because we have Christian-based theologians that take Bible scripture and they say this is what the Bible describes the cosmology to be. Then we also have the hostile witness, which would be atheist scholars, which also show us that the world describes it to be a flat earth. Now, notice that every single ancient cosmology is based upon a flat earth. The only new boys to the thing would be the globe. That would be based from the Greeks when they decided, God makes perfect, and because spheres are perfect, therefore the world had to be a sphere. Now, do note that even with Jesus' time, everybody still knew the earth was flat. It was not a well-known pushed globe fact yet. It was obviously pushed in some sects of Greek mythologies and sects, you could say, which believed it to be there, and they were pushing the globe geocentric model. But it was still well known that most of the cultures then knew it was a flat earth. My point that I would be asking Peter, because we are both Christians and I'm trying to keep this biblical, if Jesus knew that everybody was learning about the wrong cosmology, that it was flat and it was actually a globe, don't you think he would have corrected them? That's one thing I would have put there. And then let's go to the context of Matthew 5:45, because he did bring up Matthew 5:45. I would say it's all about loving your neighbor. So if you have to find that in the broader context that Jesus says, it's your children, your Father in heaven, he causes the sun to rise on evil and on the good. He sends the rain on the righteous and unrighteous. It's the verse emphasizes impartiality of God's love. So Jesus highlights that God shows his kindness to all people, regardless of their moral behavior. The sun rises and the rain falls on both the evil and the good. In other words, he's not a unjust God. He doesn't say, you get this, you don't get this, we both get it, because he's a just God. He is a call to imitate God's love. So he shows his love by doing this. He shows encouraging followers to love their enemies. Jesus calls him to imitate God's character and God's love. And he shows love and kindness to all, irrespective of their actions, and to become children of God, and a radical nature of a Christian love. So the conclusion for 5:45 serves as a powerful reminder of the expansive and inclusive nature of God's love by calling his followers to love their enemies. Jesus is teaching them to rise above common human behaviors and embody a divine qualities and compassion. This is going to be the same actually which you see with Ephesians 4:6. It's Paul instructing the Ephesians to be Christians how to conduct themselves. And we have to understand that verses have context and meanings. If you go and you look at Genesis, it is a historical narrative. God spoke to Moses face to face, and he gave Moses the historical narrative, the biblical worldview. Either you have to decide for yourself, is God lying to Moses? Did he lie to him? Or was Moses illiterate and didn't understand what God was saying? So I would unfortunately have to place the burden onto you, Peter, because we're both Christians, we're both Bible believing Christians, and if you are claiming that God spoke to Moses, it wouldn't be just allegorical. You'll have to take it literal, because if you're saying a historical narrative is only allegorical, you'll have to provide evidence that it is so. You have to look at context with verses. I do agree that a lot of context is taken in verses in the Bible that can be allegorically made, but you have to look at the whole verse as a whole to see what the context is about. When it comes to the cosmology, that is based on actual physical, historical narrative that existed. Now, the rebuttals you want me to give, we're probably going to get into that now with the sun changing size, angular size, and the positions and stuff. This has been explained many times. And yes, I will stick with it is optical. The sun's not in a physical position and definitely not 93 million miles away. I have never claimed it to be a robotic claim, as you put it. So that's a bit odd to try place that onto me. And I still don't understand how it would be in conclusion to not make it a flat earth, because I have actually done demonstrations and I have also done some diagrams. I think Peter's seen it as well. We'll probably go through it later now, where you can see it's just based on the perspective grid and your line of field of view. So as you're going, you got your limited field of view, and it's following that curve of the limited eye vision. So next, he wanted us to talk about the difference between the phenomenological and ontological properties. So I would say that if we had to take the ontological, by definition, the ontological is a philosophical study of being and existence. It explores the nature, categories, and structures of what exists. So the key questions would be, ontology asks questions like, what is the nature of being? What kinds of entities exist? What does it mean to exist? The methodology would be, an inquiry involves abstract reasoning and conceptual analysis to understanding the fundamental aspects and categories of being in existence. The notable philosophers' key figures include Aristotle, who is one of the earliest ontologists, and Martin Heidegger, particularly in his latest work where he shifts focus on questioning of being. And then we see on the focus, it's the nature of existence itself, the basic categories of being, and a relationship between two types of entities. Then we go look at the comparison or contrast between the phenomenological and ontological. If we look at perspective, phenomenological would be concerned with how things are experienced, focusing on the subjective perception of the consciousness, and ontological would be concerned with what things fundamentally are, focusing on the objective nature of existence. The objective versus subjective is for phenomenological, sorry guys, emphasizes subjective experience and the meaning things have within that experience. Ontological would emphasize the object's reality and the essential nature of being. I'm going to close this off quickly with, if you had to walk along the side of a beach and you saw a sandcastle, would you claim nature created itself, or was there a creator that created it? And therefore, you would understand that it had a purpose. And I'll close off my 10 minutes of that. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Flatzoid, for your introductory statement. Looks like we're going to have lots to go through as we get into our discussion here. So we have agreed to the format of 2-minute back and forths to everybody in our live chat who might be thinking we're doing a different format. So I'm going to get the timer ready here, and I'm going to remind our live chat here. If you are listening on podcast, I want to let you know right quick that all of our debates are uploaded to podcast form within 24 hours of us hosting them. So if you are listening on your favorite podcast app, make sure you are subscribed to the Modern Day Debate YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on the live events and you can engage with our speakers in the Q&A after the show. So with that out of the way, we'll go into a 2-minute back and forth. So Peter, we'll start with you on the floor to respond to some of what you just heard, and timer's on.
All right, thank you. Flatzoid, thank you for helping me make my point for me about biblical cosmology, that the ancient Hebrews, their cosmology was indeed tied to this ancient Near East cosmology, which, as I showed, is anti-robothemist. Now, you mentioned that several times that you have never claimed to be a robothemist. I'm not sure if you're aware that one can hold a viewpoint without necessarily knowing the terminology that everyone might use for that viewpoint. I admit I invented the term robothemist, but I described very explicitly and clearly what my definition is for that term. And the definition fits your view. It is a flat Earth model where the sun travels in a circle overhead and never goes beneath or outside, the flat Earth. It's a time zone based flat Earth model. And I can actually share my screen here to show a drawing I just made while Flatzoid was talking here. It's kind of a Venn diagram. Can you see this? Okay, so here's the globe. Here's robothemism. Here's ancient cosmologies. Globe and ancient cosmologies are both observational. The globe is based on time zones. Ancient cosmologies are not, because they didn't know about them. Your cosmology is up here based on time zones and is a flat Earth with the ancient cosmologies, but it is not observational. Okay, so your cosmology has as little to do with the cosmology of the ancient Hebrews as mine does. Okay, you cannot falsely claim that your cosmology is biblical here, because I showed you that ancient Near East cosmology, is that 2 minutes? Okay, I showed you ancient Near East cosmology showed the sun going underneath the Earth at night.
Okay, first of all, I appreciate everything, but you're not listening to what I said. I am not a Robothian. I've never claimed to be. And what a person makes their own model to be doesn't dictate the rest of humanity. So yes, I am labeled a flat earther because I'm a Hebrew cosmologist. I believe in the Hebrew cosmology, which the Bible 100% describes. And yes, it's been observed through every civilization through history. You making the claim it's never been observed is you having to back that up. If we just even read through Genesis, we can go through the scriptures if you want to, and those scriptures will clearly show that the earth is described as a stationary horizontal plane that is enclosed in a firmament. I have one question for you, though, because you wanted to bring this to the sun. Would you please tell us how a heliocentric worldview fits into the Bible with the sun only coming on the fourth day? I give my rest of my time.
So that's a problem on both of our models. You know, one can speculate. The text does not say. You know, the text does not say. So we have to basically make inferences. Maybe it was God's glory shining, or maybe God created a temporary luminary. There are many solutions to this that, theologians have pondered over time, over these centuries. But your model has that same problem. As for robothemism, yes, you are a robothemist. You may not like the term, but it's correct to apply to you. And it's no, you do not have the cosmology of the ancient Hebrews. As I showed you, the ancient Hebrews believed the sun went underneath the earth at night. So, or at least outside the firmament, like in the book of Enoch. So, if you want to walk through Bible verses, then answer my first challenge. Show me one Bible verse that describes this robothemist local sun that never goes underneath or outside. As for heliocentric cosmology, as I told you, that's a straw man. The Bible does not describe the ontology of Earth. That's a modern concept. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, again, he is straw manning me by telling me I'm a robothemist when I literally told I'm not. So could you please stop calling me a robothemist, because I'm literally not. I don't ascribe to Robothem's model. I ascribe to a Hebrew cosmology. And no, the Bible is very clear. Genesis 1 verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Notice that he made them in the firmament. They do circuits around the earth, as the Bible says. Notice that there's no contradiction for my problem, because on the fourth day, the sun came on the in the Bible. The heliocentric model requires a day for a rotation of the earth to be there, to go around. So in other words, your earth has to do a full rotation around the sun to be considered a day. So the full rotation, 24 hours going around the sun to make your day. There is no rotation. And just based on Genesis 1 alone, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, means it's not heliocentric, because a sphere has form. A flat earth does not. So I would love you to try and explain to us how you have a day if you're claiming a heliocentric model. Thanks.
Okay, over to you.
Okay, so I think you're confused. A day does not mean a full revolution around the sun. All a day means is one rotation of the earth. And that can happen no matter what the source of light is that's illuminating the earth. If it's God himself with his glory, or if it's a temporary luminary until he created the sun, either way, all the earth has to do is rotate. As far as, I mean, if you, for whatever reason, the term robothemism offends you, we can choose a different term, maybe the zetetic model or something. But I object to you calling it the Hebrew model, because it is not, as I showed you. You still have not shown me one Bible verse to support that. So I yield my time.
I'm going to take myself off mute for the audience so that so I have it right now that only the speakers can hear me because I'm just a glorified timekeeper. But yeah, if you guys did want to move into outside of the Bible and move into other examples as well, we can move into that, because I know this is a different avenue that we're kind of going down, which is cool. But I know Flatzoid's has other arguments that he's brought up as well in the past, just from hosting him prior. So you can always move down into different territory, but I'm going to try to remain on mute here while I just manage time. So go ahead there, Flatzoid.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm trying to keep it biblical at the moment, because because he is also a Christian as myself, and we both do hold the biblical worldview. I did bring up scholars, atheist and Christian scholars, that both disagree with Peter. Notice that I did bring up a scripture. I can bring up many more. We can go to Joshua 10, where where we look at Job 10, where we look at the sun stopping instead of the earth moving. Notice that no, I did say if it did come out wrong, yes, it's the rotation of the earth in 24 hours, but it still has to go around something to make that rotation of the, because you are falling away from the sun to make your day. There was no sun to make a day. And also note that your heliocentric model, like I said in the beginning, you didn't have a Earth to rotate because it was formless. It was water. There was nothing there. So everything I've said, you can get, if you want, I can bring up books and citations showing different cosmologies, which all describe the heliocentric model, the Hebrew cosmology, just as the Bible depicts and what I subscribe to. And no, just because people like Rebuttal or Zedetic now make a flat earth model doesn't mean it's biblically based on the Bible. People have different views. I'm specifically telling you, this is what the Bible says. This is what I ascribe to. And I think it's wrong to try and rope me into a model I don't ascribe to.
It's not my fault that you don't understand the history of your own ideas. Your ideas do descend from Samuel Robotham. Yes, he did base them on what he understood the Bible to say, but both you and he are wrong in the same way for the same reason, because your ideas are shared. And I mean, you still haven't addressed any single point I've made. You haven't shown me one verse from the Bible that shows a Robothamist sun or a Zetetic sun or whatever you want to call it. I think you're just confused on like the globe model because you said that the Earth has to go around something for a day. The only thing it's going around is its own axis. You know, it's the poles, the north and south poles, and a sphere can be formless too. I mean, you're just kind of throwing mud here. And the other challenge was like a consistent hermeneutic for Matthew 5:45 and Ephesians 4:26. You gave a sermon. You didn't, and you know, thank you for the sermon. It was those are indeed the lessons that are being taught, but that doesn't address my point.
Notice again, guys, he's ignoring the big issue he has. The Bible doesn't describe it having a form, so therefore you can't claim heliocentrism. He also, again, keep on pushing me with Robothenism, which I have no anything to do with him. I've never claimed him. I've never said I claim. In fact, I've said I don't ascribe to Robothenism. I ascribe to Hebrew cosmology. If his model is similar to Hebrew cosmology, it doesn't mean I ascribe to his cosmology. No, the Hebrew cosmology has been around since Moses. God spoke directly to Moses. So that's when the Hebrew cosmology was presented to the Israelites, to everybody. So no, I am not in a new kind of model you're trying to push me on. I'm telling you straight, the Bible describes the flat earth. I can give you a whole plethora of verses to give so, but we can just go to Genesis alone to show that it does show a flat earth and it can only work with a flat earth. I still don't see you going and just saying, I don't understand, or that you're trying to still push a model on me that I don't agree with. Doesn't mean I don't understand, just means you're being dishonest without even saying, okay, yeah, I concede the Bible doesn't explain a globe model. It does, however, explain a flat enclosed earth.
So basically, I wanted everyone to notice that what Flatzoid is doing here is stacking the deck by changing definitions of terms to ensure that his view is, you know, appears to be the winner. He is refusing the term Robothamism and claiming the term biblical cosmology. As I've shown many times, both of his claims there are false, and he has not addressed anything. You know, the all of the scholars that you cited, Flatzoid, they disagree with you just as much as with me. Okay? And God did not give Moses a cosmology. He gave him a historical narrative, which was not ontological. So I mean, we could move on from the topic because we seem to be at a stalemate, but like you're just changing definitions here.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a okay, I can't seem to find that PDF, but it's fine. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna clearly state again. Just saying nah, hand wave dismissing it doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just shows you don't want to accept the historical narrative. Note, guys, he just said historical narrative. That means God gave Moses the actual historical account of how Earth was created. So based on a biblical worldview, you either have to accept that's what God's made the Earth to be, a flat, enclosed, domed Earth, or you have to say, nah, I believe man over God and call God a liar. That's all I can say about this on biblical discussion. I would love to get on to the root meanings of words, because that would also show that it's depicting clearly a flat, enclosed, domed earth and not a sphere. But it seems the biblical discussion we're supposed to have is now trying to get away from a biblical discussion, which I don't understand, because that's exactly what we were having, is a biblical discussion.
Like I said, it's up to you guys if you want to keep trying to explore. But yeah, if we get caught up on terms and we can't actually get into the meat of it, then it does become, like I say, a hard thing to push forward with. So, yeah, and I did mean to be on mute earlier for the live chat. I'm just trying to not have this podcast completely riddled with me saying 1 minute, 2 minutes. But I'll do it if you want me to. All right. So, yeah, maybe let's try to push into some new territory. Like I said, unless we know that we got something that we can dig into a little bit more deeper here.
Well,
Go ahead,
I
Flatzoid.
did find it interesting in his email. He did say maps, and he said, if you're looking at the Gleason map, the sizes and things are distorted. I would say, yeah, what about you can show me one accurate 100% map for the globe? Even your Mercator map has distortion sizes and stuff. So it doesn't really matter what the distortions are, because every map has their own unique um, point of contention and what they are designed for. The Gleason's map is not a distance map; it's a time and sundial map, actually. So it's not made to say the distances and the sizes of continents. So that just was one thing that I found very interesting. Would Peter be able to show me any globe map that has all the continents 100% in correct configuration, as he puts it, I would say?
All right, 2 minutes on the floor. Over to you, Peter.
So the the Mercator map is distorted because it's flat. By mathematical definition, you cannot show an undistorted flat map of a spherical surface without, I mean, it's not possible. It's what mathematicians call a non-developable surface. So all flat maps of a sphere are going to be distorted in some way. The only undistorted map you can make of the surface of a sphere is a sphere, and that's why schoolrooms have globes. If you look at a schoolroom globe, that's undistorted.
All right, I think he's handing the ball back. So go ahead, Flatzoid.
Okay, no, so you would understand that it's hypocritical to say, oh, Gleason's map, so therefore the continent doesn't look right. You would say that is then hypocritical because you don't have a map that shows it at all the same size either.
From the sounds of things, let's just try to do our open discussion, because it sounds like we're getting wrapped up nice and succinctly. I think we've set a good tone, so let's try it, fellas. Open discussion.
Flatzoid, I just gave you a map. I just described one, a schoolroom globe.
Globe's not a map. By definition, it's
Yes,
not
it is.
Go
Why
and
is
get
it
the
not?
definition. I had the same debate with FTFE, and while he was telling me it's wrong, we had the actual definition on screen saying there's a
All right.
distinction between a map and a globe.
All right, well then basically you've rigged the question because you're saying give me something that's not a sphere that doesn't distort a sphere.
No, my
It's
point.
mathematically impossible.
Yeah, but that's my point. So I would say it's a mute argument to make a claim that, oh, Gleason map, Africa's distorted or whatever. I can say, well, every map on the globe is distorted too. So
Yeah,
therefore it's an
because
argument.
okay, let me share my screen. Give me 1
I
second.
understand your reasoning. I'm saying then it's just a
Oh
mute
no, I
argument.
don't think you do understand my reasoning. I really
Yeah, you
don't.
guys are trying to take spherical objects and wrap it flat. That's your whole argument.
No, we
All right,
We're
I'll give you a minute to do your screen share there.
all right. Um,
There you go. Just let me know when you're ready. And I'll remind everybody as well, because looking at the audience here, we've got almost 700 people that are tuned in right now live. Welcome everybody. We hope you hit the like button, share this out in those lovely spaces you like having these discussions. Looks like Peter's got his screen share ready, so let's get over here. And you're ready to go. 1 minute on the floor, Peter.
okay, Flatzoid, can you tell me what this is?
The equidistant map.
Can you? There's more to it. Can you tell me what the orange blobs are?
That's where your sun is. I don't know. You tell me. You're the
No,
one presenting.
it's called TOS indicatrix.
Okay.
It shows mathematically exactly what the distortion is.
Mm-hmm.
The distortion exactly matches how this is projecting from a globe, a spherical globe surface to a flat map. Every flat map of the globe has a TSOS indicatrix to show the math behind the distortion.
Mm-hmm.
It can be
And
shown mathematically that they all correspond to the surface of a sphere.
and you can show me a map that doesn't have distortions.
If by map you mean a flat surface, then no, by definition, you cannot have. How
And
are
that's my
you acting
argument.
like
And that's
that's
my
winning
argument.
anything?
And that's my argument. As I said, it's a mute argument because in the email with what you want to say, you say, oh, because the Gleason map, it's distorted. Great.
Yeah,
So
distorted
you don't have an
according to.
undistorted my point is you don't have an undistorted map for the globe either.
No,
Therefore, it's
you
a
just
mute
chopped off
argument.
half my point. When you
It's a mute
quoted that,
argument.
no, it's not, because what I said was it's distorted according to spherical globe math. Exactly according to spherical globe math,
And
which mathematically shows that it comes from a sphere. If you measure the distortion on this map, it will match the distortion between this map and a sphere, which shows that the real life shape of your country is as it should be on a spherical globe.
okay, and is there math for dark matter?
Total red herring fallacy.
No, I'm trying to make a point here. Is there math for
Then make your point. Don't make a red herring
I was
fallacy.
still talking. So there's math for dark matter. Does that make dark matter real?
It's the math of the globe can be measured using a vehicle, an automobile and its odometer, or it can be measured using, surveying equipment. There are all kinds of ways to measure the shape of your country. That's how they got these maps.
Yes, and
Dark
measurements
matter
were
is a
done.
red herring fallacy.
No, I'm trying to make a point that you're saying because maths, therefore reality. We got maths for things that don't exist. You can make maths for unicorns. It doesn't make it
Okay,
exist.
Flatzo,
Now,
do
but
you,
I'm glad you're moving on to surveying because that requires a flat Earth.
no. Flatzo, do you believe 1 + 1 = 2?
Yes, mathematically it does.
All right, thank you. So math can be valid sometimes. If you take one apple and you add one more apple, you have how many apples?
2 apples. And if I describe that
All right.
apple as an orange, and it's not really orange in reality, does that make it an apple?
No, you're just arbitrarily
orange.
you're using math wrong in order to try to debunk math. That's
No,
not an
it's very
argument.
simple. Can you make an equation for unicorns to exist?
That's an incoherent question. I cannot
Okay,
answer.
let's say you made an equation for dark matter. That's what we're talking about now. There's an equation that shows there has to be dark matter because it needs to exist, otherwise the rest of the models don't work. You would agree with that?
There is a specific set of observed evidence for and against dark matter.
Great.
That's why it's
But-
still hypothetical.
Okay, but my point is there's math for it.
Yeah.
And that math describes dark matter as a real thing.
No, it analyzes dark matter as a hypothetical thing. Math does not.
Math is a description. It's a language. It just describes things. You can use math to
Yes.
describe anything. doesn't mean what it's describing is reality. That's my point.
You can also use it to deduce things. As we just did with with 1 apple plus 1 apple equals how many apples? That's a deduction. Okay. It's a very,
Mhm.
very basic, like first grade deduction, because we can't apparently get on to the deduction that when you measure the shape of South Africa using an odometer or surveying equipment or whatever you want to use, the shape differs from this azimuthal map by exactly the right math as you would expect from a spherical Earth.
And
You
that's my
cannot get
point.
around that.
And that's my point. No map, encoding the azimuthal, the equidistant map, everyone is distorted. Okay, that's my point. So it's a mute argument because the picture on the map doesn't fit the math in reality, doesn't make
Oh,
the
it
math
does fit the
wrong.
math. That's what I'm showing you. It does fit the
No.
math exactly. The math
Okay, okay,
exactly describes how it will differ from reality.
okay. Now, can we please move on to the measurements? Because you says it's measured using surveying.
Well,
Do you know how surveying works?
I'm not a surveyor. If I, if we were going to go into that subject, I would rather have uh what's his name, Baron on here with me from TikTok, but I can't, you
I
know,
can tell you. I can tell you it's done with planar surveying and it's required to have a horizontal reference datum. So therefore, using a flat earth to make your measurements.
based on the conversation we just had about the math of TISO's indicatrix and measuring the shape of your country, I am pretty sure that what you just said is wrong.
Nope. Definitely
But
based on a flat earth horizontal datum.
it's probably not.
Sorry, you just said you know nothing about
I didn't say
surveying
I
and you
know
want to tell
nothing.
me, the guy that's telling you how it works, I'm wrong.
Well, you've shown a lot of ignorance so far,
I
and
haven't
I
shown any
think,
ignorance.
oh, yes, you have.
You've shown hand wave dismissal. You've shown still pushing things on me after I said, please don't push it on me. You've just shown you
You don't get a
ignore the
choice
things
about
I'm bringing to you. You don't understand the things you bring up like surveying, and then you want to tell me I'm wrong. So I'm going to again,
I
based on
admitted that
surveying,
I had an area where I was
your
not an
math for your
expert.
model. Wait, sorry,
Hold on.
your
Let's let
math
him wrap.
that comes for your maps is based on flat Earth measurements.
No,
Yes. Literally horizontal datums.
it approximates a flat Earth if you only measure locally within a certain distance, because that's how math works. That's
And
how
how far
reality and geometry works.
and how far is a local distance in planar surveying?
It completely depends on the precision required. So if you're trying to, and this is something another surveyor told me when I was live on TikTok recently. If you're pouring concrete for an entire warehouse, like you're gonna build a new Walmart or a new, something, and you need, dozens of acres of space, and you want that concrete foundation to be level, then that's big enough. You actually do need to account for the curvature of the earth.
You use a water level. There's no account for earth curve.
That's false. A surveyor told me otherwise. And here's the thing, you're not a surveyor, I'm not a surveyor. I admit my ignorance, you don't.
Planar surveying goes up to 150 miles before geodetic surveying starts coming. I've actually debated surveyors on the subject, so I find it very ironic that you're trying to tell me I don't know about the subject when you in fact don't even know what a reference datum for planar surveying is. Now I'm going to ask you again, what is the measurements they make when they do the planar surveying? Do they measure curve?
No, I don't want to go into this subject. I told you that I'm not an expert on this. I
Well, then
don't
don't
think
tell
you
me
are
I don't
either.
know what. Then don't tell me I don't know what's going on if you don't know.
All right.
I'm
So
literally telling you.
I'm just going to jump in here. So if this is not an avenue that you would like to go down into, that's totally fine, Peter. But if you want to move into a new territory, that's totally
Sorry,
cool. So I can
sorry,
see.
Ryan. I just have to say you don't have to white knight for him, and he's a big man.
Well, what was I doing for you earlier then? No, I'm just
No, it
picking
wasn't
on
white
this.
knighting for me.
All right, no, it's
I
fine.
can hold my own.
But I want to give you both a chance, of course, to present your cases here. So, Peter, if you did have a new territory that we haven't explored yet to go into, we
How
can move
about
in.
my number 3 challenge that Flatzoid hasn't even touched yet?
What was it again?
My own personal observation of sunset combined with time zones that equals a globe.
First, you have to prove that it has to prove it's a globe. You're making the burden there. So I don't know what I have to rebut about it. Is it because you
Sorry,
said
what?
if the sun's always up in the one, it's going to be based on perspective, has to be down on by someone else?
So you didn't hear or understand my argument?
I'm trying to figure out, you gave 3 different arguments. So I'm just trying to find, is that the one where you say, because on a flat earth, the sun's always supposed to be in the sky, but also below at the same time?
That is really that's a quote from when I
Okay.
made that argument,
Okay,
yes.
then I'm going to tell you, did you take refraction into account?
No, because it's not necessary.
So when we look through the atmos, do we have refraction?
On some level, yes.
There's always refraction present, correct? Because light's always traveling through the atmos.
On some level, yes.
Right. So would that change the position of the sun?
Only by about 1 degree.
Can you
Or,
prove that claim only by 1 degree?
I mean, your claim, what exactly is your claim? Like that the sun set is going to differ from the arctangent function I described
Yeah, because
by
that
more than
doesn't
1
take it,
degree?
because it doesn't take any optical phenomena into account. It's what we would call Muppet vision. It's orthographical view you're trying to place there. Orthographical view doesn't take optical phenomena into account, only angular size change.
You're using all kinds of terms incorrectly. Orthographic is actually opposed to perspective, and we are in a perspective view when we use a camera. So that's not correct. It does neglect atmospheric refraction for the specific reason that we know atmospheric refraction was negligible for the experiment.
Okay, so you're saying orthographic view is not perspective based, like I said.
That's correct. Orthographic
So
means
I'm
not
correct,
perspective.
then why are you saying I'm wrong and then literally saying the same thing I said?
I'm not saying the same thing you said.
You did. I just said orthographic view is not perspective based, and
No,
you
you
said I'm
said,
wrong.
I don't think that's what you said, but maybe I
That's what I
misheard.
said. But I'm going to say again, yeah, I'm glad you understand orthographic view is not perspective based. So therefore, you can't use orthographic view to claim perspective.
Okay, yeah, so you said I was using orthographic view. I'm not. That's not correct.
The arctangent is orthographic, is it not?
No,
It's a triangle based on side view.
it's a
Can you bring it up on
cross-section.
screen? Can you bring it up on screen for everybody and show
Yes.
us where perspective is there, please?
Excellent. So I just closed the poll. So while you get your screen share up and running there, here I'll just transfer that over. And I'll get us off the screen so everybody can see it. I just closed our poll, so I'll give you the stats here. So we had 607 votes. If we can get that many likes, that's going to be awesome for the stream, boost us up. So if you haven't already, hit the like button, smack it around. It doesn't hurt it at all, trust me. So 57% of our live chat have voted for globe, 25% for flat, and then 16% for the trollers have said a loaf of bread. So that is where we're standing right now. We'll do another poll similar to that before the end, but let's carry on, gents. Let's carry on, yeah.
Awesome. So you would understand this is based on orthographic.
All right, yes, maybe I misunderstood what your point is saying. This is an orthographic view, yes.
Great. So there's no perspective taken into account here.
No, this is an orthographic view of perspective. You see the little stick man? This is describing his perspective.
Yeah, like I say, it's not perspective based. Can you show me convergence in that orthographic view?
Yeah, it's this the limit of this function right here, the arctangent function, as this sun would recede, the angle that is seen by the stick man between the horizon and the sun would approach 0 as
Okay,
the sun continued to recede farther and farther away.
Okay, so the angle's getting smaller as it gets further away. That's what you're saying.
Yes, that's how convergence or vanishing point works, and that's exactly what I demonstrated in this.
Okay. Okay, can you show me the ground rising up to meet on that, please?
The ground does not rise up to meet anything. I don't know what you mean by that.
Then it's not convergence because the ground is supposed to
No,
rise
that's just
perspective.
because you're misusing terms and you're like,
No, perspective is very simple. Everything below your eye line rises up relative to meet to the convergence point, and everything above dips
You're just
below, goes
regurgitating your
into the
script. That's not how
no,
perspective works.
dude, I literally majored in art. I studied art. Perspective. Everything has a convergence line.
It's
So
math. If you didn't study the math behind this, then your
everything,
art is
every,
worthless.
everything above your eye line converges down relative to eye level. Everything below rises up relative to that convergence zone. Can you show me this convergence in your orthographic view, please?
What you're describing is the point where the angle observed by the stick figure here would cross the eye level horizontal line. So, if you're drawing a line, here's the red line and then the green line and the blue line, they're progressively getting closer to horizontal to eye level. And if you pass that threshold, then because rays of perspective diverge from the viewer, that line will eventually reach the ground because it's now pointed slightly downward.
Okay,
past
let's
horizontal.
take the red, the green, and the blue. Are those suns on exactly the same line?
They're on this dotted line, yeah.
Are they appearing to drop to the convergence of eye line?
Yeah, because the vertical
Nope.
position in an image that this guy might take in a camera, that's dictated by the angle he perceives here. So this alpha angle right here, it's decreasing, meaning getting lower in his camera's view or his eye's view as the sun gets farther away.
Yeah, but is it now depicted as going lower or not?
It's depicted in his view.
No, it's only changing angular size. It's not converging anywhere. That's my whole point. You're not actually having perspective based in this arctangent. You can try and call it perspective convergence just because the angular size is changing. That doesn't make it perspective. It's not convergence.
Then you just don't understand.
Don't understand is not a rebuttal. It's just you then hand wave dismissing that what you're claiming is convergence.
You're the one hand waving dismissing.
No, I'm telling you, I'm asking you, show me where the convergence is. I'm telling you it's not.
That's not a requirement for demonstrating perspective.
Always in perspective, you require the ground to rise relative to eye level.
That's just your script.
Everything
That's
above,
not perspective.
This is literally perspective. It has a convergence point. Everything above eye line, everything below eye line always converges to a convergence point. That's perspective. What you're showing now and calling it perspective is not. So it's a category error. You're claiming to make something perspective, which isn't.
No, it's a category error according to your nonsense script that defines the categories according to your liking.
What script?
It's almost verbatim the same from one robothemist to another.
I'm not a robothemist.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. Can I call you Satanist then? Can I call you Satanist?
Only if you define what you mean by that.
Because you believe in a heliocentric model. It's literally Helios worship.
All right. Well, I think I showed stronger logic to call you a robothemist than you've shown to call me a Satanist.
Well, your globe requires a whole bunch of 666s to work. It requires Helios Satanistic
That's nonsense.
Globe worship. So it's more on the lines of Satanistic. So do you think that's fair of me to call you a Satanist because you believe in a heliocentric model?
Listen, I described a concept to you, and then I offered to use different terms if there's a term that offends you. So if you understand the concept I described, then maybe you tell me what word I should use for it. Because biblical cosmology is not good enough.
I thought we're going to have a biblical cosmology debate because we're both Christians and we were looking at the Bible based on
and I'm telling you, your cosmology is not biblical.
No, my cosmology is everything biblical. You haven't shown one scripture that says it's not.
Strawman again. I don't have to show
Show me a scripture. Show me a scripture that says the firmament's not a physical dome, please.
Strawman again. I don't have to show.
Show me a scripture. No, show me a scripture where the sun was created for an Earth rotating, please.
Strawman again. I don't have to do that.
Yes, you do, because this is supposed to be a biblical debate.
You're the one calling your cosmology biblical. That means it's your burden to show that it's biblical, not mine to show that it's not.
Do you guys want to sit here for 3 hours so I can read you Bible scriptures, or are you going to?
I just want you to show me
one
verse that shows your view.
Genesis 1.
That's not good enough because it doesn't describe a robothemist sun.
Joshua 10.
Not good enough. It doesn't describe a Robothmist sun.
I don't care about Robotham. Stop bringing Robotham into this.
Then
Robotham has got
tell me
nothing to
what word
do
I should
with
use.
biblical Hebrew cosmology.
No, wrong. Tell me a different
Okay,
word I
show
should
me
use.
show me Robotham's in the Bible, please.
What the freak?
I say I
Why
have
would
nothing
I
to do with Robotham. I am talking Hebrew cosmology, the
You're
biblical
not getting your
cosmology.
cosmology from the Bible. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling everyone. Your cosmology is not in the Bible. It's from Samuel Robotham. Historically, this
Paul
is
H. Seeley. Paul H. Seeley says you're wrong. Don H. Walton says you're wrong. Peter N. says you're wrong. Michael Hauser says
no,
you're wrong. Hector Avalo says you're wrong. Richard Carrier says you're wrong.
no.
Christopher Hitchett says you're wrong. Michael Shermer
Every
says you're
one of
wrong.
those people would agree with what I'm saying right now. That your
They all
cosmology is not
literally
biblical.
wrote books on the subject
Yeah,
saying the Bible
you see the
describes
phrase flat
the
earth
Hebrew.
and
Why
in
is he
your
talking
mind
over me?
it just completely attaches to your view. That's not correct. I showed
Every single one of them wrote books on the subject stating the Bible depicts a flat earth Hebrew cosmology. You trying to go to Robotham that I said I don't even ascribe to, that's got nothing to do with what I'm talking about, and pushing it into there shows you don't have any argument. So are you going to go and tell me
you
all
not
those
understanding my
scholars are
argument
wrong?
does not mean I
Is
don't have an
Michael Hauser
argument.
wrong? Is Michael Hauser wrong?
I believe he is, but he would also say you're wrong.
Is Peter Enns wrong?
I would believe he is, but he would also say you're wrong.
Michael Hauser, in his book, The Unseen Realm, Isaac discusses the ancient Israelite worldview, including their cosmology. He highlights that the descriptions in the Bibles are consistent with three-tiered universe, which includes a flat earth,
There
a
you go
solid
again.
firmament,
Assuming flat earth means
and
you've won the
an
argument.
underworld. Peter Enns. In the various writings, he also touched upon the ancient Hebrew cosmological views. He points out that the biblical descriptions of the world, such as the pillars of the earth and the foundations of the heavens, suggest a flat earth model consistent with other ancient Near Eastern cosmologies.
You're making my point for me here.
Must I read? Yeah, my point is you saying everybody's wrong. The Bible does depict a
They
flat.
would all say that you're wrong. And you are making my point for me when you say that they're comparing it to ancient Near East cosmology. I showed you how ancient Near East cosmology differs from yours.
Do you understand? You just told me the Bible doesn't depict a flat earth. That's what you're claiming.
Yes, that's what I'm claiming.
And I gave you 8 different scholars, 4 atheists, 4 Christians, that all tell you you are wrong.
They would also say you're wrong.
They wrote books stating the exact claim we just said. The Bible describes a flat earth.
Okay. Flatzoid, where do you think the sun goes at night?
Away from you. So again,
that's Robothmist.
No.
If you don't like the term, give me a different term to use.
This is dishonesty. I don't care about Robotham. I'm talking about Hebrew cosmology.
What is dishonest about what I'm saying?
You pushing someone I am not ascribed to.
I said, if you don't like the term, tell me a different term.
Telling you I don't ascribe to. I'm telling you I don't
Forget
give a
about
shit
Robotham.
about
I don't
Robotham.
care. I don't
Then
care
stop
about
bringing him
Robotham.
up. I don't even.
I asked you. Where does the sun go?
Ryan, I've got a better idea. Let's stop talking about the sun then. Let's talk about other aspects of the planet. How about the firmament?
All right, let's move into some new territory. I was letting you guys have a little natural engagement there, and I think everybody was enjoying. But yeah, let's try to focus and reel it in a little bit here. And
can we move to the
talk about the firmament? So go ahead there, Peter.
I mean, the word firmament is a mistranslation. It's actually the best translation is expanse. The word firmament comes from actually pagan cosmology. Ultimately, it comes from Greek because it comes from the Latin Vulgate, firmamentum, which was influenced by the Greek Septuagint saying stereoma. Stereoma was, they believed, a literal sphere around the earth. So like, and they also, this is where we get the term helio for the sun as well. So if you are gonna try to ascribe to the translation firmament and also say that heliocentrism is satanic, then that means your translation of rachia is also satanic.
Okay, great. First of all, everything you just said there was wrong. The root word is raka, to beat out solid. Rakia comes from the root word raka. Stereoma comes Greek after the Hebrew and Aramaic. So I just had to correct you there. And no, it means solid expanse.
That wasn't a correction. That was just a misunderstanding of what I said.
The vault of heaven supporting the waters above. So can you show me any instance where rakia, which is the original word used in the Torah, for the firmament that is not a solid expanse, please?
That's I don't have that ready.
Because it doesn't
I
exist.
believe there are, but I don't have that ready.
It doesn't exist. Even stereoma, the expanse derived from rakia, which means solid.
But yeah,
Or
but that was
Or how about we can use some more scripture when we look at when God separated the waters from the waters? It says he used a solid firmament to do this. How would that work on your globe?
it might be referring to clouds.
No, solid. Is a cloud solid?
That does not actually mean solid. Just because
It
the
literally means
word
solid.
raka is sometimes used to like with a
Beat
transitive
out.
object of something solid doesn't mean that it's always that way.
Always. Raka is to beat out something solid. Rakia derived from raka is a solid firmament expanse, the vault supporting the waters above. Then you get stereoma, which is the expanse based on the solid rakia.
Yeah, stereoma comes from pagan theology or pagan cosmology,
Which
though.
comes after the Aramaic and Hebrew.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
correct.
So great. So why do we have to worry about something that comes after the original text?
Because the only foot you have to stand on is this Hebrew word, rachia, and it does not mean what you think it means. Just
Okay.
because this definition says solid in parentheses, or that in subsense 2 it says vault supporting waters above, does not mean. Okay, do you even believe it? That's not even. You just highlighted the word flat, but that's not even applicable in your cosmology. Do you believe the
yes,
dome is flat? That
base is
doesn't make
flat.
sense.
The flat as base. The base, the support is flat. The firmament has
That's
to
not
have
what that's
support.
saying. That's saying that the expanse is flat.
The base, yeah.
No, not the base. The expanse itself.
Base.
You're
Okay,
just
I'm gonna bring
misreading the
up another. I'm
definition.
gonna bring another one up for him because he doesn't seem to understand how words work.
Ad hominem.
Throwing a little spice on
we'll
that.
say your
Go ahead.
so we'll say based on the firmament, it can't work with a globe. Correct?
Sorry, what?
So we'll say based on the firmament, it's not globe based. You'd agree with me?
No. What? I don't understand what you're saying.
If we have to take the firmament argument biblically, does it explain a globe or a flat earth?
It doesn't endorse either.
Of course, it explains the Hebrew cosmology, the flat. I got another one up. Reflection on Jacob Praal, Catullus, who's the first, and this is going to be explaining how it is, and this is that model you said is wrong. This is exactly what the Bible explains. You see that flat base there, the foundations of heavens, that's where it touches. There's your clouds, by the way. Do you understand the Bible has 3 heavens?
This is all an interpretation of biblical cosmology that not only takes from the Book of Enoch, which I reject, but also
this is taken only from
Oh, no, it's not.
Genesis.
Oh,
This
no,
is
it's
taken
not.
from Genesis, and okay, it takes through the whole Bible, but you don't need the Book of Enoch for this.
You
don't
kind
need
of
to
do.
touch
The
Enoch. You don't
Bible
need to
doesn't
touch
go into
Enoch.
that much detail.
Oh, really? Which over here would you like me to get you the scripture for? Windows of heaven, Noah's flood. What else? Foundations, pillars.
Those are
Sheol.
just phrases. They're describing an event of rain. It doesn't mean that there are literal windows or doors in heaven.
Literally, it says with notes that God opened the windows of heaven.
Yeah, it also says that swords have lips. Okay. Do
But
you think the
you
swords
do
literally
you see
had
the
mouths
argument
that
you just
opened?
gave? The argument you just gave is the Bible doesn't describe these things. You need the Book of Enoch. I said you don't need the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch just goes into more detail, but the Bible does describe this exact Hebrew cosmology we see in front of
No,
you.
most like I think at least half of that detail comes from the Book of Enoch and other ancient Near East cosmologies.
Which ones? Which half of them are there? Which ones don't you think is in the Bible?
Well, it's well, for one thing, the windows and doors of heaven that like
Okay, I'll quickly get it for you. Windows and doors of heaven.
it's just a phrase used. It does not describe what they are or that they are literal.
Windows of heaven. I'm gonna quickly get it for you. Anything else? Genesis 7:11.
While you bring that up, I'm just going to close out our little extra poll here, and I'm going to put up another one more related to the debate. So, yeah, just a reminder, everybody, once again, while we're live, if you hit that like button, it really helps us out in the algorithm. We super appreciate everybody who supports the channel. We will move into Q&A shortly at the discretion of our speakers here. So as many avenues as you guys would like to go down, and then when you feel like you're ready for Q&A, just let me know. And yeah, whenever you're ready, Flatzoid, it looks like you're bringing something
Yeah,
up
I'm
there.
happy. I'm just gonna give this up and then we can go to Q&A. It's fine with me.
I would be a little bit. I wanted to pursue the sunset thing a little more.
If that's all right by you, Flatzoid, we can definitely.
I think the
maybe take a
sun's a
minute.
mute argument because I'm going to say the sun is the whole time and he's going to tell me and he doesn't get, he's just trying to tell me what I'm supposed to say the sun is. So I don't really think that it's going to get anywhere anyway.
You were just denying math. It's
No, I didn't. Okay. So anyway, remember you just made a claim that the Bible doesn't talk about the windows of heaven. Genesis 7 verse 11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all four fountains of the great deep broken up and the windows of heaven were opened. Is this based on a historical
yes,
narrative?
it's literal
Actually,
history.
literal. Windows of heaven broken up.
I said literal
Or
history,
open.
not a literal
Okay.
phrase.
Okay, but does this explain the windows of heaven that you said were not in the Bible?
No, not to the degree that Enoch does.
Enoch, we don't even have to look at Enoch. You told me
You
straight.
do if you want to
You
build that
need
diagram.
No. Windows
Yes.
of heaven were opened up. There we go. Where were the windows?
Every single one of those scholars that
You
you
know what
kept
heaven?
citing,
You know what heaven is in Genesis?
it's equated with the Rachia.
The vault of heaven. Yeah, there's three heavens. The one you opened up, vault of heaven. So therefore, depicted in Genesis.
You're just
like
adding
I said, you
details
don't
now.
need no.
Yes.
I'm giving you the actual scriptures which you say don't
The
exist.
actual scriptures that you just, eisegeted.
So are you going to explain to me how I'm wrong, that everything I'm showing you actual scripture based
It's just
is
not
wrong?
there. You tried to
It's
show
literally
evidence.
written in black and white. Must I bring you the
found it.
Hebrew?
You found the phrase "windows of heaven." Okay, good job. That doesn't make your argument.
It does make my argument because you
No,
said it's
it
not there.
doesn't.
You
No,
said
it
it's not
doesn't.
there. You said it's not there.
The phrase is there. The description of what the phrase means is not. That comes from the book of Enoch in order to build the diagram that you keep
Enoch, you
using.
do not need Enoch for
Yes,
that
you do. If you
description.
want to build the
I just-
diagram, you need Enoch.
Okay, bring another thing on the Hebrew cosmology that I need Enoch for, that I can bring you scripture up as well.
Well, I don't have the diagram right in front of me. Hold on.
So it's just hand wave dismiss.
No,
Look for
that's
windows,
not just
guys.
hand wave dismiss.
Aruba. Okay, that's for the windows. Lattice, window, sluice, chimney. That's opening where the smoke.
Yeah, nobody's disputing what the word means translationally. We're disputing what it means cosmologically. Okay, it's not referring to a literal window. It's just referring to an event of rain.
All right. Seems like we've hit a wall on that one there. So yeah, if you feel like the conversation regarding the sun there would be a waste of time, we can move into Q&A. Seems like Flatzoid's not
Yeah.
consenting to go into that conversation, so we'll respect that and get into Q&A. So thank you, Peter and Flatzoid, for.
Uh,
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, can you maybe you have 1 minute each clothing statements before we get on to Q&A? Is that fine?
Well, I mean, usually I do closing statements after Q&A.
Oh, okay. No, then it's fine. No, that's
Yeah,
fine.
just because there's new things that are going to come up. Sometimes we get into back and forths during the Q&A. So if you have a question for either of our speakers, now is the time to get it in, and they will answer your questions and inquiries in the chat. So I see first here, Hey could put $1.99 into a super chat, but I had no question. But it's good to see you in the chat there, Hey. Haven't had you on the channel in a while, so maybe if you want to send me an email, we'll get you on for some of the topics that are going on in the stage right now, the world stage. So I think it'd be fun. LJ coming in says, if it's a globe, why does half the Earth stay lit?
Who's that
Is
for?
that question for me?
It would be, yes.
I don't understand the question. Why wouldn't half the Earth be lit if it were a globe? It's just that the sun is shining on, and that's on one side, and that's how it works with a
Yeah,
sphere
and,
with a light on one side.
it's at a tilt, so it's actually doesn't.
So
Yeah, I don't
you
know what you
tilt a
said.
sphere, there's still
Yeah,
sphere there. It's still
no,
gonna
that's what I
light
said.
half.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't understand that argument either. So
All right, maybe if you want to clarify in the live chat there, LJ, uh, let's move into the next one. And thank you so much, everybody who has put in a super chat so far. We appreciate it. Everybody who's hit the like. I think we're having a lot of fun with this stream. So let's keep going. Roger Ledwell, demo gravity in real time, please, in a lab. That adds that extra part at the end there. Demo gravity in real time, please, in a lab.
I mean, if you want a Cavendish experiment, I don't have one built. But yeah, as I said before, gravity is a red herring on the topic of the shape of the Earth.
Any
I do have
thoughts?
something to say there, but I'd rather not say anything
Are you sure?
because then we're gonna into debate about gravity. That's acceleration, not gravity. Just to let you know.
Acceleration due to gravity.
He's asking you to prove gravity, not acceleration. There's a difference.
Well, gravity is what we call the downward acceleration that all mass feels on the surface of the Earth.
And you see, that's where the contention is. You first have to prove it is the cause. You can't just claim it is the cause. That's what he's trying to say.
There is a downward acceleration that
I
all
agree.
objects feel, and it's the same acceleration on the surface of the Earth within a certain percentage all over the Earth, and it can be isolated from all other forces, including electrostatics, which is not really a force per se. It's a field of study. There's gravity is just originally when Galileo and Newton started studying it, it was just the term they used to describe that force that they were studying.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
are
said. We
we
can get into a
arguing?
whole. That's what I said. We can get into a whole argument on gravity alone. But I mean, just to rebut what you just said, gravity is not a force, so you can't claim it to be a force. And no, by claiming
It
the
is a
acceleration
force.
is due to gravity, you first have to prove the ontological argument that gravity exists to make that claim. Yes, we accelerate, we see things accelerate. The claim that it is due to gravity is the unfounded possibility that you can't prove. And no, you can't isolate gravity because you've never been able to manipulate gravity.
You can isolate the downward force that things feel.
How?
Well, by checking off the boxes of all the other forces you know. Okay, nothing's pushing it down. Nothing is, magnetically attracting it down. If it's like paper or wood that's not magnetically attractive, what other forces could it be if you just let something go and it falls? It's something else besides all of those. And originally, scientists chose to call it gravity. Theories around gravity continue to develop from there because it's like, okay, there's this force. What is it? Let's explore it more. And yeah, eventually Einstein overturned a lot of what we thought we knew about it. But that doesn't mean that the original observations were wrong or that the original theories were not useful.
No, that's what I say. You can't manipulate gravity to claim it's gravity.
It's the force that things fall down. If you have a different word for that, that's fine, but you can't say it's
Yeah.
like electromagnetics or something.
It's just displacement due to relative density disequilibrium, but that's my take on it.
Okay,
We can
that's a
actually
lot of
debate
word
that
salad, but
sometime. We can actually debate that sometime if you want to. I think it'll be great.
I don't really.
Oh, okay. We can move to the next question here. But yeah, I don't mind. Like I said, you guys are welcome to stew and unpack all you'd like. Use these questions as a launch pad to explore new avenues. And sure, if there's other debate topics that come up that you're like, there's so much there, I'd love to unpack more, then, if Peter doesn't want to do that one, then, there might be other people that will, and vice versa. So, let's keep going through and see what you guys think in the live chat. So keep the questions coming in, everybody. We appreciate that. Jova Shade says, if the Earth truly is flat, A, what would be the benefit of knowing it compared to not? B, what would be the benefit of concealing the knowledge?
Okay. For A, I would say it because it tells you God, it keeps it God's character because he created us to have a personal relationship with him. He's close to us and he gives us a purpose. He created us in a very certain environment to be able to have that relationship with him. B, I can't divine anyone's motives, but I could tell you that if you understand biblically that the rulers of this world are dark and spiritual powers, it's not actually man. There's reasons, because if you understand Satan is a perversion of everything that's good of God, he's going to do everything against God. And therefore, his motivation is, hey, God didn't create you for purpose. He didn't create you to be close to you. Let me create you for an infinite speck of nothing with no purpose, with an ever expanding universe showing God just moves further and further away from you. That's all I can say.
Flatzoid, I expect you're aware in Psalm 8 it says, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you care for him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think that means?
Do you have to care for him? Yeah.
There's more to it. You can do it. Let me pull up the verse here. Is that really all you got?
I understand I understand what you're trying to say. You're trying to show, yeah.
Okay, in the beginning of Psalm 8, it says, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him? So David is looking up at the stars, and it's making him wonder, where is man's place in this giant universe?
The planet is not small, by the way, just to let you know.
Okay, but it's too small.
No, it's not too small. I think it's people that's too claustrophobic or something.
Well, I mean,
remember, God is on the vault. He's in a different heaven. He's on above the heavens.
the thing is,
That's why when people, but we see, that's why I say when people say, "Oh, how high is the dome?" That's true. And I said, "Who knows? I don't know. It could be hundreds of thousands kilometers up. Who knows? No, we don't know." But the thing is, when you look at God's character and you look at what was asked, God's character, you would agree, is he created you to be an image bearer of God, to be close to you, to spend time with him, to be in a relationship with you. The heliocentric model teaches total opposite of that.
Wrong.
It does.
No, secular, like atheism, teaches you that. The heliocentric model does not teach that.
Okay. Does the heliocentric model say that the universe is expanding constantly?
I mean, here I have to actually distinguish, because the word heliocentric refers to a cosmological model that is now superseded and had long been superseded before the expansion of the universe was discovered. So technically, the answer would be no. The heliocentric model does not show that. But yes, the universe is expanding according to modern science.
So then God would be moving further away from you because
God isn't in a physical location in the universe. That's
he's
ridiculous.
Omnipresent. But the Bible does say he walks on the vault of heaven. So a physical place. And the Bible also says
That's
when you go,
poetry.
he's sitting at the right hand of God. So you think God's not physical? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, God is spirit, as Jesus said in
So supernatural can't be physical.
it can. Jesus incarnated as, the Son of Mary. That's when God became physical. Or on the Mount Sinai, when God came down in fire and brimstone on the mountain, that's God became physical to some degree there.
Yeah.
But God is not walking with literal feet on a literal vault of heaven. That's nonsense.
In Genesis, God walked in the garden with Adam and Eve.
Yes, I believe his physical presence was there in some way.
And he walked, yeah, as the
Yeah,
Bible says,
yeah.
physically.
Do you think God the
You think God's
Father
not a
is
physical being? You think God's not a physical being just because he's omnipresent?
I'm saying that he is not bound to a physical nature.
Yeah, he's
God
supernatural,
is
obviously. Yeah,
it
we can agree with that. He's not bound to physicality. He's not bound to nature. But my point is, God is in a physical place, even if he's omnipresent. He's still physically somewhere. And according to the globe, he's moving away with that ever expanding universe. So it's getting further and
that's just
further.
a straw man.
That's what it is.
No, no, it's just a straw man.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah,
All right.
I do.
Next one's coming in from LJ. LJ asks, why doesn't Earth spin under a hovering helicopter?
I assume that would be for me.
Yes, LJ is usually in the live chat asking questions, even when we're having debates on other topics related to the flat versus globe discussion. So, LJ, we
Oh,
always
yeah.
appreciate you in the live chat. Even LJ's dog knows. We know. We'll hear about this eventually, I'm sure. Why doesn't Earth spin under a hovering helicopter? From LJ.
Yeah, so I do want to reiterate that is a red herring on the topic of the shape of the Earth. So, you can basically nitpick and cherry pick and complain and flounder all you want at modern science, but that doesn't, form a legitimate argument against the Earth being a globe. As
Yeah.
for the actual question, it's because the atmosphere is moving with the Earth. I heard someone describe it once as like if when you pour a smoothie in a blender, or you pour ingredients in a blender and you start the blades spinning, the blades are only, at the very bottom of the blender, but after a few minutes of them spinning, the whole container of fluid will start spinning with it. It's the same with the atmosphere. The Earth is spinning, and because, it's been doing that for as long as we know, the atmosphere spins with it, just like the fluid in the blender spins with the blades. It's just simply false that the helicopter would suddenly magically lose all of its momentum sideways as soon as the feet leave the ground. Like that's nonsense.
Any thoughts on the other side, or you want to carry on?
Yeah, there's so much wrong with that. First of all, yeah, the reason first of all, gas is not a liquid. It's based on fluids, but it has different properties than a liquid or a solid. So no, it has different behaviors. It's not bonded in a sense like a liquid in a blender. They still have bonds, so they would bond and move together.
Fluid dynamics still apply.
Yeah, they have fluid dynamics, but it's not bonded in a sense like liquid. Okay, they still have different properties. So gas is moving all directions constantly. They can only change direction with a collision. Okay, if you're claiming the Earth is moving now, yeah, I agree. It doesn't make it a heliocentric or not. It just means not a moving globe. That's all. Not a globe at all. If you're claiming the air is moving with as like velcroed to the ground, then you can't claim to have
It's
Coriolis
not
deviation.
Velcro, no.
Yeah, well, you're
That's
claiming it's
nonsense.
moving with it. You're claiming it's moving with it. So that's
Yes, by fluid dynamics and friction, not Velcro. That's a completely nonsensical straw man.
gas. Gas doesn't stop moving or be pulled to other direction. It can only change
It
direction.
has friction and it does experience fluid dynamics.
Again,
You're just
Gas,
obfuscating
gas moves in all directions constantly. It can only change
on a
direction
molecular level.
if a force is applied to it or if it has a collision. That is it. Gas
You're
never stops moving.
you're
Now,
describing on a
the fact,
molecular level.
no,
Overall, it doesn't necessarily
the
do that.
fact, the fact we have wind going in different directions shows this to be wrong as well, by the way, because it's
No.
just low to high pressure systems moving. This is called storms and jet streams and stuff. But yeah, the fact his argument is because we don't see helicopters hovering and you claiming the air is, sorry to say, velcroed to it because you say it's moving together, we don't observe
Sorry to straw
Coriolis.
man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say, I just have to. And because it's saying that it means that you don't observe Coriolis effect, so therefore you can't claim Earth is rotating.
That's a complete straw man of the Coriolis effect, though. That's just not how it would work at all. In order to observe the Coriolis effect, you need something moving sideways in relation to the ground, not in relation to the axis of the Earth, because
They
yes,
must be
the whole
moving in a
system
linear
is
fashion. Must be moving in a
in
linear fashion.
relation to the ground.
Hmm.
So yes, the according to modern science, the entire system of a local region of Earth's surface is moving sideways in relation to the axis of the Earth, the North Pole or the South Pole. But in relation to that ground, the helicopter is not moving.
Yeah, so we don't observe a Coriolis effect. That's what he's saying.
That's not what the Coriolis effect would do. The
Okay, let's say the
Coriolis effect does
helicopter's
not
flying. Let's
apply
say
to
the
that.
helicopter, let's say the helicopter is flying linearly. Will you observe this Coriolis effect?
If you somehow were able to measure at that minute level, yeah. We're talking about like less than 0.3 centimeters per second, I think, if I recall the number correctly. Which
Yeah,
means that
it's
the
like
pilot
saying,
would not notice as he's correcting for that while navigating based on the geography and the land features he's flying over.
yeah, they don't correct for it. That's the whole point.
Because they wouldn't notice. It's too small.
Yeah, so we don't observe it. That's his point. We don't observe it. It's too small to observe.
Don't observe. You just picked one scenario where it should not be observed and say, oh, we don't observe it there, therefore it's debunked. No,
Okay,
wrong.
we can do another one. Do we see planes fly backwards?
That's also wrong. Like, why would that debunk Coriolis effect?
Because the Earth rotates and it would be rotating faster than the plane.
All right, again,
And
nonsense.
the
Straw
plane
man.
is powered flight. The plane is powered flight. So if it's going against the momentum, it would cancel that momentum out because that's how you cancel out. You need force. And because the plane is having a forced momentum opposite to the direction of the momentum, if it doesn't have enough momentum, it would either fly backwards or it will cancel and go faster in one direction.
That's
This
just
this is this
nonsense.
can be this can be counted if we take I think it's a flight from Charlotte, Carolina to New York or something where it's supposed to take 4 hours to fly, but only takes an hour, something like that.
What do you mean supposed to take 4 hours to fly?
According to your rotation of Coriolis.
According to your straw man of Coriolis.
Nope. According to
Yes.
the map.
Yes. You're
According to
just
the map.
All right, I think we. I was gonna say. I think we got another one coming in here from LJ. So
Oh boy.
I'm gonna stir the pot a little bit more here. So thank you, LJ, so much. He asks, why space travel keep getting delayed? Why does space travel keep getting delayed for decades now? Clean it up a little bit, but yes, he's asking, why has space travel been getting delayed for decades now?
Politics and economics.
Any thoughts over there, Flatzoid?
Yeah, space doesn't exist. It violates the second law of thermodynamics. So obviously it's just a charade to keep people thinking space is real.
Nonsense.
All right.
Have you shown any demonstration where gas pressure can exist without containment?
You're just rigging the deck to try like defining terms and defining the challenge to ensure that you appear to win.
Let's put it this way. Space, the whole heliocentric model violates the first law of thermodynamics, okay? Where did all this, okay, but you're a creationist, so it's fine. You can say God created the first matter to be able to expand, so that's fine on your, but
I don't believe in the Big Bang.
that's brilliant. I'm happy about that because you would agree that would just violate the first law of thermodynamics.
I don't know that it would do that, but I do know that the Bible has a different narrative. And I believe that is a historical narrative. So I don't believe that's the history of the universe.
Hey,
I
something we
don't
agree.
say that it violates the law of thermodynamics. That's nonsense.
Do you know what the first law is?
Um, I think it's the one. Is it the one about entropy? Like,
No, no, that's the second law. The first law is no matter can be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred or transformed.
oh, right. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, the beginning of the universe is kind of a philosophical question anyway. Like, how did all of this matter and energy get here in the first place? So, like, yeah,
Yeah,
there's different theories around that, but yeah.
yeah. And then the second law is the entropy law. So if we had to have the entropy will always increase in an isolated system. Now, if the universe is this isolated system and the Earth is an open system in this isolated system, all the gas we have will entropy will increase and fill the available space, and therefore we wouldn't be able to breathe. So the mere fact we have gas to breathe means we have containment.
And the
Which
mere
is
fact that we have a
saying
pressure gradient proves that you're wrong.
pressure gradients are a delta. They come after pressure gradients. Pressure up comes after pressure. So you first need the
Sorry,
containment.
they're
Then
what?
you first need containment. Then you need the pressure, which is the gas. Then you need the pressure gradient. Pressure gradient comes after the pressure already needing
Oh,
to exist.
you're just making up rules. That's not how physics
Okay,
works.
show me pressure gradient without pressure.
That's not how science works.
That is how science works. Show me pressure gradients without pressure.
That's literally an incoherent question. How can
Show
you have a
me
pressure gradient without pressure?
exactly my point. So you claiming that to come afterwards, you're claiming delta is now before x doesn't make a sense. If I have pressure gradient, the antecedent for that means I have pressure, the gas. For the antecedent for gas pressure is the containment.
Yeah, that's
No
the rule you made up.
containment, no containment, no gas pressure, no gas pressure
You just made
gradient.
that up.
Okay, I can give you another example. Do you like steak? Do you eat a piece of steak?
This is from your guy, Sovereign Soul.
No, no, no. This is actually quantum razor long ago. You eat
Okay,
a piece of
whatever.
steak. Okay.
It comes from a
Will that
cow.
piece of
I get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
will that piece of steak exist without the cow?
Yeah, but if you have also a piece of venison and you are too dumb to tell the difference between venison and steak, and you
Yeah, but
say,
that's
I have this piece of meat, therefore it came from a cow, that's what you're doing.
no, but a gas is very specific. You can't fake a gas, can you?
Nobody's saying that we're faking gas. We're saying that the pressure is contained by a different process for a different reason than it
What
being
process?
it's the fact that things fall down.
Gas doesn't fall down. Gas is
Yeah, it does.
homogeneous. No, gas is homogeneous. It moves in all
It
directions.
actually is not homogeneous.
It has a dispersal rate, and the second law of thermodynamics also has what we call the arrow of time. So if a denser gas, let's say, because you're claiming, okay, I can, for instance, take sulfur hexafluoride and you can pour it down. It still disperses into the availability space. It just takes longer because it has what we call the arrow of time. It's denser, so it takes more energy and longer to disperse. It still disperses.
So it does fall down.
And it still disperses.
Yeah, it falls down and then disperses for exactly the same reason that water finds its level. Because things fall down. And in fluid, when a fluid is,
okay, but then in your logic, I can go and buy a bucket of propane and never need to worry about closing it.
No, that's not what I said.
You claiming gas is pulled down. It doesn't. It disperses. You would agree.
A propane tank needs to be under pressure.
If you had to have a bucket of even sulfur hexafluoride, would you agree that eventually it will all disperse into the available space?
I don't know off the top of my head, actually.
It will.
Okay.
This is why all gas needs to be contained, because if it's not contained, it will fill the available space. And this is why the second law of thermodynamics is violated on your globe, because you guys claim Earth is an open system in the universe, which is a separate system. So therefore, the gas we breathe will fill that available space. The fact we have gas pressure and gas pressure gradients requires it to be enclosed.
No, that's just wrong.
No, that's not just wrong. That's how it works. That's how
No, you just made up
thermodynamics
the
works.
requirement that it has to
I
have a
did not.
container.
I can show you actual MIT professors giving this exact teachings, thermodynamic processes, kinetic molecule theories,
Well, I
everything.
guarantee you that they would not say that the idea of a spherical atmosphere next to space violates whatever laws they're trying to teach.
Well, I
That's
can guarantee you no one
that's
can
cherry
tell
picking.
me, I can guarantee you no one can tell me how gas doesn't need containment when literally that's what it teaches.
That's not what it teaches.
I
You just
just
made
told
that
you,
up.
and I can give you many MIT instructors that will tell you you're wrong.
You would be cherry picking them out of
How?
context.
How?
Because they all would assume would agree that the atmosphere is next to space and does not need anything other than gravity to restrain it.
Show me gravity restraining gas.
That's not what we were just
You just said gravity will restrain it. So
we were
show,
talking about what these experts would say if
and
you
they
brought
would
them
say
in.
it will fill the available space.
No, they would say that the atmosphere is restrained by gravity.
Do you know Joule's expansion of free gas?
I'm not familiar with whatever you're referring to specifically, no.
Okay, do you know any gas laws? Let's put it that way. Any gas laws? Gay-Lussac's law, Charles'
This
law,
is why I didn't want to go into this, is
Avogadro's law.
because I know that you have your script that is very, very, very
script?
well rehearsed. It's a
It's
script.
not a script. It's
You don't
knowledge from the
understand any
subject.
single piece of it, and now you're
So
going to try to
because
make it look
wait,
like I don't understand.
Wait, so because I have knowledge on a subject, it's a script.
No, no,
This is as
because
good. This is as
because
good
your
as
knowledge
this is
on the
as good
subject
as
is garbage.
this is the same. This is exactly the same as when Dave Farina takes his word salad bottle to Witsit. Because he doesn't understand the words coming out of his mouth, it's word salad. Now, because I understand the words coming out of my mouth, you don't understand the subject, it's a script.
No,
How does that
that's
work?
not the logic I applied.
That is the logic you applied.
No, it's not.
Okay, then tell me, how is it a script? Tell me, what I'm saying is, did I say what's wrong with what I said?
I believe it's a script. If I don't have enough knowledge to combat it, then I can't show to other people that it's a script. I can't demonstrate that in a debate, and that's why I didn't want to get into this.
All right.
But it is a script.
Let us move on from here. It sounds like
Yeah.
well, this question was from LJ, so I gave you the last word on that one, Peter. Next one's for you, Flatzoid. This is from Johnny 46BA. So thank you so much for your guys' support. Flatzoid, if you are so convinced the Bible says the Earth is flat, when the final experiment shows 24-hour sun in Antarctica, will you become an atheist?
First of all, I've been saying this a lot with the final experiment. The flat Earth doesn't make a claim on what the sun does. Even if it shows 24 hours sun, it doesn't disprove the Bible in any way or a flat Earth. The only one that's possible for it to disprove, because the only one's making a claim here, are the Globers. So no, it will not disprove anything because the Bible specifically says it circuits the heavens.
Just because you're too ignorant to apply the logic doesn't mean that your model does not require certain things.
Okay, let's put it this way. Does your globe dictate the sun to be visible 24 hours a day in Antarctica?
At certain times in certain places, yes.
Does the flat Earth say what the sun is, where it is? It's supposed to be there 24. It should go down or should be there in Antarctica 24 in that certain time.
It does say that it circles clockwise above the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. Does it not?
Did the Bible say that? Did the Bible say that?
The Bible does not, no.
Oh, okay. So again, another Robothian model, maybe?
Is that not what you believe?
Like I'm saying, another Robothian model, maybe?
You're just running away.
No.
What is it? What is it that you believe?
The question was biblical. He brought, you are biblical. Now I'm telling you, you see, you have to separate. There's different beliefs in things, just like even on the flat Earth side, you get Pac-Man believers, you get simulation believers or whatever. Okay. I subscribe to the Hebrew cosmology, the biblical because I trust
Okay,
God.
so do you
know,
believe the sun goes underneath the earth at night?
doesn't say.
That's what the Hebrews believed.
Show me.
I did already.
No, that wasn't the Hebrew cosmology. That was Near Eastern cosmologies. That wasn't the Hebrew cosmology.
All right.
What about the Book of Enoch? Is that not
Is
Hebrew?
the Book of Enoch in the Bible?
No, but it's Hebrew.
Last word for you, Flatzoid, on this one.
Yeah, and yes, I do like the Book of Enoch, by the way, guys. I think it is something you have to read as a Christian. No, I will not become atheist because it doesn't make it not flat. It can only make it not a globe, and that's literally just trying to drag flat earthers into a false dichotomy.
All right. LJ is asking to you, Peter. Actually, sorry, not to you, Peter. This is for both of you, so I'll give you each a minute. What would change your minds to go to the other side? So I'll give you a minute on the floor to start, Peter.
That's kind of a loaded question because to me, the prospect of the Earth being flat, especially according to robothemist cosmology, and by that I mean the sun circling around the Earth above it instead of going underneath. That cosmology has never, ever, 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 ever provided even one tiny shred of coherence or evidence or argument of any kind. So it would probably take something very dramatic that would throw me into a lot of confusion for a long time in order for me to change my mind.
All right, 1 minute there, Flatzoid on the clock.
It's actually very simple. If anybody can demonstrate to me the no need for containment to have gas pressure.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much to both of our speakers for answering all these questions. We do have quite a few moving in. We'll try to get through them maybe a little quicker, just to respect the time of our speakers. They have been, well, by the time we get done, we'll be well over 2 hours, I'm sure. So thank you again, Peter and Flatzoid, for having this discussion. Theodore Paul says, Flats, unicorn math. You sound like you fell down the stairs on your head. Oh, Theodore, you're so pleasant. So stop
Love you,
making
Theodore.
things your future kids will be embarrassed by. Well, Theodore, I read your question. There's not much to engage with there besides, yes, much love to you. Very pleasant sentiments. Joshua Jamie, if we are using math to measure the Earth, that is clearly different than making up math for a unicorn that can't be measured.
Yeah,
So,
but
Thank you.
okay, that's actually a good point, by the way. And the problem with the globe is most of it is based on something that can't be measured. Now, when we measure the Earth, it's based on planar measurements, flat measurements. That's my whole point. That's why we were going to planar surveying.
any thoughts on the other side?
It's not based on planar measurements.
Literally.
He's just wrong.
Just wrong. Can you show me how I'm wrong?
You're the one who made the claim. That means you have the burden of proof.
No, you said I'm wrong. You just said I'm wrong. I'm telling you planar surveying uses horizontal datums. Last time I checked, horizontal does not bend, doesn't curve.
It does because I showed that, the
Horizontal
sun,
curves.
it changes relative to your longitude and latitude.
Okay, planar surveying can go up to 150 miles, okay? They do not assume any curve. Do you
Maybe
understand
you are
how
referring to
much
some
curve,
more
how
specific
much,
discipline than I thought. I don't know. Planar
how much,
surveying, I guess maybe you're gerrymandering the claim then. So maybe you are right after all, technically.
yeah, they only measure incline and slope angles based on a horizontal datum.
All right. Next one's coming in for you, Peter. This is from Deems Traveler, so thank you so much for your support. Can the Glober explain how radio transmissions can be sent 1,700 miles and received first try, like Moroni did, and documented, if the Earth is curving?
I think you meant Marconi.
Yeah, they may have had a typo. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't studied that specific thing that they're trying to bring up. So I would have to qualify, by saying that I'm not an expert on that. But I do know there's such a thing as over the horizon radar. There's, radio waves that bounce between the clouds bounce between the ionosphere and the Earth, and they follow the curvature of the Earth that way. There's the fact that radio signals propagate equally in all directions generally. And therefore, no matter where you are, you're going to see a blip. And then, they can also be reflected if you're doing radar or whatever, according to diffuse reflection, which means they reflect back in all directions. And therefore, no matter where you are, you're going to see the reflection blip. So, I mean, I don't know what there is to explain beyond that, unless we dig into the specifics that I haven't studied.
Yeah, you see the history behind that is the wave band that they're using actually is line of sight. And what happened is there was no such thing as the ionosphere in that time. So they came up with an excuse to say, oh no, it's just bouncing off the ionosphere to get that exact refracted angle.
This is revisionist history. The
But I'm
ionosphere,
just
there's
saying,
never been a time the ionosphere did not exist, except maybe in Genesis. And
no,
also,
that's
there
the
there is
point.
no spectrum that is exempt from Snell's law. You can't just say, oh, this part of the spectrum is line of sight. No, all of it can be refracted. It just depends on the conditions.
The wavelengths he's talking about is literally based on line of sight.
It is literally radio waves, right?
Based on line of sight.
Radio waves refract.
Line of sight propagation. In other words, if he had to push it up, it will not reach the receiver.
What? Push it up?
It has to be line of sight to the receiver to work. That's his point.
Yeah, that's because generally the refraction, if present, is very minimal.
Okay, excellent.
Theodore Paul says, Flats, way to go to the Bible when you know you're losing.
No, this was a biblical debate.
Is
That's
this the
the whole
same?
point of this debate.
This is the same.
It was supposed to be
pleasant Theodore.
biblical.
Sorry, I was
Admittedly,
just saying,
yeah,
it's the same pleasant person from before. I'm just picking on you, Theodore, but we might not have too much to say on that. But yeah, there was intention to go down several avenues regarding differences on that subject. So yeah, make no mistake, that's not.
I just have to, yeah,
so
I
go
just
ahead.
have to point out, and even Ryan knows, when I debate something that's not based on biblical, I don't bring the Bible into it. But tonight was specifically about the Bible. That's why we were debating Bible-based
yeah, it was.
things. Yeah.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. Excellent. Yeah, we all agree that on that for sure. Vipe asks here, Flatzoid, explain the counter rotating celestial spheres directly above your head while standing on the north versus south pole or close to them.
Easy. We usually do this with a demonstration with the road. If I'm looking north and I have cars coming from the east to west, they will coming traveling to my right to left. If I had to cross the road and now look south, those same cars that were coming east to west are now going to be left to right based on my location.
And you apparently didn't understand the question because it's clockwise versus counterclockwise, not simply left to right versus right
If
to
you
left.
take the clock, stand on this side, it will seem clockwise. Yeah. Well, the clock is different because that's turning this way, but you're looking up. But yeah, it's based on relative.
Yeah, we are looking up when we observe star trails.
And we see it in one direction because we are only let.
No, we can see the whole circle if we look at one of the poles. If you're in the
Yes.
northern
So
hemisphere,
if I'm
you
in
can
the
see.
north looking north, it sees it clockwise. If I had to look at that same turning with back, it will now seem to go the other way.
No, that's not true. If you're looking up at something on a ceiling, if you put a clock on the ceiling, it would still be clockwise no matter whether you're standing on one side or the other.
The clock is sitting like this. The sky, the stars aren't sitting like this. The stars are moving around you like this, not like this. You get it?
So you're saying it's like a clock
different
on a
orientation.
wall instead of on the ceiling.
I'm trying to say it's based on your relative position. It's the same as if you go to the equator and you look up, you will see it go from behind you forward to you. And then from the right, it will look like it's curving right and to the left, but left.
Yeah, that shows a globe.
No, that doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Literally relative position.
The only way that can work is on a sphere.
No.
At least if the sky is a sphere, which is what the ancients believed for a long time.
The firmament, yeah.
Stereoma referred to the Greek belief that the sky was a sphere.
Half dome.
No, they.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. The firmament is a half dome. It's not a full dome, just to let you know.
Well, I was saying the Greeks believed it was a full sphere.
I don't care what the Greeks believed. I'm just telling you what the firmament says. And even the
So
Greeks, they
every
came
time you say firmament,
and when
that
they
comes
say
from the Greek
stereo,
word stereoma,
no, it didn't.
ultimately.
Raka, rakia, stereoma comes after, not
And so does
before.
firmament. I said every time you say firmament, that comes through
Firmament is the
Greek.
English. Firmament is the English translation of stereoma, which comes from raka, rakia, which comes from raka.
Yeah, so you had to go through 3 languages: Hebrew, Greek,
And
Latin
okay,
to English.
did raka say it was spherical?
Well, no, it didn't say anything
Did
about
rakia
shape
say it
or
was
hardness.
spherical?
The Hebrew, we already talked about the Hebrew. I was simply pointing out firmament
No.
goes through
Aramaic as well,
3
even the
languages.
Aramaic language as well, it's not spherical. The only reason the Greeks called it spherical is because they believed the earth to be a globe. That doesn't make the
Yeah,
firmament.
and the
And
Septuagint
by
and the
the way,
Vulgate that gave you the word firmament also came from that belief.
All right,
is the
questions for
Latin Vul
Flatzoid. So last word
is
to
the
you.
Lat yeah, do you read the Latin Vulgate or the Bible, Peter?
The Latin Vulgate is the Bible.
No,
It's
it's
a
not.
translation of the Bible into Latin.
How many books of the Bible in the Latin Vulgate?
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's not the same as the Bible, just to let you know. It's the Roman Catholic translation.
All right, next question's coming in from Matthew Eastman. Thank you so much for your support for the channel and super chat. Time zones are derived from longitude lines and ground position of the sun. How can you have time zones if the sun sets below your feet?
Was that
That's
for me
for you,
or?
Peter.
I think that one would be for you there, Peter. Yep.
Well, you can't. That's why we know the Earth is a globe.
Any other
I mean,
inputs or thoughts on the other
and
side?
did I misunderstand the question? Like if it's because eye level is relative. Okay, so when the sun sets for me, it goes below my feet according to my definition of up, down, and horizontal. But my definition of up, down, and horizontal differs from someone 69 miles west of me by 1 degree. You know, for every 69 miles you travel, your definition of up, down, and sideways is going to change by 1 degree. And so that's how the sun can continually go below eye level for someone somewhere at all times, just in a circle.
All right. Any other thoughts on the other side, or do you want to carry on?
Yeah, we're not falling away.
All right. ADHD project says if it quacks like a duck, it's a robothemist. I think ADHD's just showing some appreciation for your points there. So yeah, always fine. But we will move on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your first super chat there, ADHD projects. And I actually got an email related to you being on the show. We're gonna get. I'll send you a message afterwards. We're gonna get ADHD back on. So stay tuned, everybody. Deems Traveler. All molecular and intermolecular attractive forces are electrostatic in nature. Quote from Purdue University. How do you isolate gravity from electrostatics?
Well, I think it's by making it equal. So, like, yes, on a molecular level, if you take individual pieces of molecules or individual molecules, then you're going to find some electromagnetic force in between them. But as a whole, an object like a piece of wood or like this plastic water bottle, you know, the sum of all of those forces in all of those molecules equals zero. It has a net zero charge, or at least close to zero. And therefore, we know that if I dropped this water, I'm not going to drop that, but we know if I did drop that, it would not be because of electromagnetics, because the net charge of that collection of molecules is zero.
Yeah, and not to mention you got different type of properties of magnetic charge. You got ferromagnetism, paramagnetism, dimagnetism. They have discharge and charge. So why aren't we seeing frogs floating in the air, in other words?
Because it's not electromagnetic.
There we
It's
go.
gravity.
Yeah. No, not gravity.
Yes.
Relative density disequilibrium.
Those are things related to gravity.
No,
Yes.
it's not specific gravity. You are talking about specific gravity. I'm not saying anything about specific gravity. I'm saying relative
I was
density
not either.
disequilibrium.
I'm
Yeah, you're
saying
telling
those
me
terms are from
no,
the study of gravity.
no. Even buoyancy, Archimedes' principle, it was derived 1,900 years before gravity was even postulated. They didn't need gravity then, they still don't need it now, even though you put in your equations. And therefore showing equations don't make reality.
Last word for you, Peter.
I didn't say equations make reality, but if you're using equations to describe reality, then you can use the equation to corroborate, falsify, or deduce. And apparently you don't understand that. Archimedes' principle is, they believed that things fall downward. So I don't know what you're trying to say about that.
Things do fall, yeah, I agree. I agree, things fall. I'm just saying it's not gravity.
Well, they didn't study it until the 14 or 1500s, but it's gravity.
No, it's not.
All
Gravity buoyancy requires gravity to be a force. Gravity is not a force, so therefore it null and nullifies that argument that gravity is the
It
cause.
is a force.
It's not.
It is.
It's not. All right,
Einstein
Peter
says
gets
it's
the last
not.
word here. We gotta move on, you guys. Yeah, that's fun though. All right, so sorry guys, but yeah, if you had any last little thoughts on that, Peter, then we got a question for you, Flatzoid.
Newtonian physics still applies.
All right, no worries. Theodore Paul coming in again. Ask Flatzoid, if God is all powerful, why would an infinitely expanding universe be a problem for a God to have a personal relationship within each of us? How can a universe expanding quickly remove God from our lives if God is the Alpha?
That's actually a good point. But no, the thing is, if you look at God's character, he wants to be close to you. The fact that he's ever expanding away from you goes against God's character. That's my point.
Straw man.
But no, it doesn't. But no, it doesn't limit his abilities.
The expansion of the universe simply does not mean that God is getting farther away. That's just a non sequitur, a straw man.
All right. And any closing thoughts on that one, Flatzoid? That one was for you?
No, that's fine.
No? All right.
Made my point.
A1. All right, let's carry into Joshua Jamie's question. Thank you so much for your support. Important corrections should enter into the calculation of any long trajectory, namely the curvature of the Earth, increasing the range and the altitude and gravitational attraction. Quote from U.S. Navy institution. Any thoughts
And
there?
he can show this. And he can show this.
Well, Joshua Jamie, maybe if you want to follow up, but yeah, if we got anything else there, I'll just repeat
Yeah, because
go ahead.
yeah, the last time I checked, if someone's in a war situation, they're not gonna say, "Hang on, please don't shoot at me. I just have to work out all my calculations before I shoot at you."
That's why they have computers and lookup
Yeah.
tables.
In World War II, before they had the computers, what did they do then?
They invented computers during World War II for this
Were they-
purpose, partly.
Oh, were
And
they fast enough to do it?
well, not at the time yet, no, but they had lookup tables. Lookup tables go back hundreds of years.
Yeah, in which men had to go and calculate with themselves.
Mm,
And those lookup tables, do you know how what the parameters are to be used for certain things? Like, let's say, for instance, Coriolis. Do you know the parameters that needed to be done before you could say, let's use the Coriolis parameters?
Are you asking what things had to be measured before?
Okay, let's put this. So they had a set table with special parameters, and those are the baseline parameters. And what you had to go through all those parameters, and if those parameters don't meet, then you have to go to the special parameters, would be for earth turn and curve and all that nonsense, which is never shown. That's the point. That's the point. They don't ever use it.
Okay. That might be a good time to move on from there. We got just a few super chats left to go. So, once again, a big thank you to everybody who has asked questions to our speakers here. I'm sure we'll see both Flatzoid and Peter again back on the platform. And once again, Peter, this is your debut on Modern Day Debate. So, welcome to the space. As I said, I
Thank
hope
you.
to see you back here again to have more discussions. It's been a lot of fun. So, if you're watching the live chat and you haven't already, hit the like button. And we got last two questions currently now. So if any more come in, we'll read them. But if not, then we'll wrap up after these two and do our closings. So Bitter Truth asks, Earth is rectangle. Flatzoid, do you agree?
No.
It's a loaf of
I don't
bread.
know. I would say based on biblical cosmology, it says circle. So no, sorry. Two different shapes.
So then what are the corners of the Earth?
Cardinal directions.
Ah, something we agree on.
We need to
Your hermeneutic is just such a patchwork.
we need to have like we need to have like a YouTube thing that we can pop up when these moments happen. Like they agree and like explosions on the side of the screen. Like
He's just being selective though. That's what
consensus together. Oh, that's great. All right, so let's move into Theodore Paul says, Flatzoid, what is x in the equation 6x times 3 equals 120? Oh,
No idea.
asking
There
us
we go.
math
Next.
questions. What are you doing here,
Yeah,
Theodore Paul?
How dare you ask a flat earth in math? Come on, what's wrong with you?
I just I was doing a show and it was a pre-stream with MC Tune and they were asking me math questions and I was getting really smacked. I was like, oh no,
Let's
I
put it
can't
this way,
remember so.
I was an art student, not a math student.
So don't feel too bad about that. So yeah,
Yeah.
what we'll do is we'll move into our 1 minute closers. And yeah, thanks once again, everybody in the live chat. Smack the like button if you haven't. Yeah, Peter, I'll give you 1 minute on the floor to yeah, let everybody know where they can find you, thoughts on your discussion, on the discussion today, and also maybe other topics you'd like to discuss in the future.
All right. Well, I'm most of my followers are on TikTok. I didn't choose TikTok. It just happened to be where I got the most traction. So sometimes the social media chooses you instead. I also have had content on YouTube for much longer, but it just never got traction. So you can find me at Peter Markley. That's PeterMarkley, on both platforms. And yeah, I hope I was not too irritated or frustrated with you, Flatzoid. It is irritating and frustrating. I can't deny that, but yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Well, the
I
only
hope
other
to
question
do better.
would be, are there any other subjects you'd like to debate in the future, just to let our audience know kind of where you're sitting and maybe stir the pot a little, you know?
Well, I'm a young Earth creationist, but I don't know that I'd be willing to debate that. So pretty much I think the only thing I'm open to debating on is shape of the Earth and all
And
of the different rabbit trails that stem from that.
I mean, I'll be happy to team up with you on Young Earth Creationist, so.
I don't want to team up with you on young Earth creationism. You are an embarrassment to Christians.
Wow.
Ooh, coming in with a hard.
Wow. I was supposed to say something nice
I-
about him now.
Oh no, no.
Flatzoid,
Well,
I
gee.
really don't mean that in an insulting way. I know it's
Literally
insulting.
insulting me and says it's not insulting.
I'm
Wow, okay.
I'm sorry. It's just I have to be honest. You are an embarrassment to Christians. I'm not trying to be mean when I say that.
Well, I'm the only one bringing scripture up. Okay, that's fine.
You're abusing scripture.
All
Nope.
right. This, not that this isn't juicy, but let's keep it friendly. Like we came so far. Oh man.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I still
I'm
like, I still
sorry.
like to beat there, don't worry.
It's fine. All right. So
I
you,
kept it together for so long.
well, I have one more coming in actually. If you wouldn't mind entertaining,
Yeah, go ahead.
Joshua Jamie asks, you can find a specific long trajectory in instructions at U.S. Navy institution. You have clearly never considered that you may be wrong. Earth is a globe.
I actually done a whole stream where I actually showed a 755 page manual. and went through some of the things and spoke with your mopped Chris, shout out to him, where we showed that some of the parameters you need and those parameters are not met.
All right, excellent. Did you have any thoughts there on the question, Peter? Before we hand it over to Flatzoid for his 1 minute.
Well, I mean, Flatzoid hasn't even if when he reviewed my video on epistemology was any indication, then he was probably pausing every 5 seconds and could not even listen to one single point that was made, or I guess this was a page, these were pages he was reading, so I doubt he understood one single thing he read.
All right, all right. Without getting more into your closing remarks, yeah, let's give you the floor there, Flatzoid. So where everybody can find you, your thoughts on our discussion today, and of course other topics you may want to discuss in the future on modern day debate.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Kicked, Twitch, YouTube, all under Flatzoid. You'll find me there on Twitter, X. Thank you, Peter. I do like you, by the way, even though we don't agree on things. I just have to point out, when you know someone's insulting you, they've lost the debate. Also note, I'm the only one that brought up scriptures. I'm the only one that didn't just hand wave dismiss things the whole time. I am also the one that showed knowledge on the subjects and just said, nah, because you don't understand, therefore you don't understand. So that was practically tonight, me showing the one that has knowledge and the scriptures. And unfortunately, I'm the one that gets insulted because of that. Hey, that's life. But thanks, guys. It was fun. And Peter, by the way, I have nothing against you. I do like you. Keep up what you're doing, man. Oh, and what I would like to debate.
Mhm.
Actually, I'd debate anything, to be honest. I'm not really bound to anything. Flat Earth is just the thing I've been roped into with debates because everybody just wants to debate me on Flat Earth. But that's why I enjoyed this opportunity for biblical cosmology, because I've wanted to do this a lot. I'd like to actually debate on ontological primitives sometime, maybe. That can be quite cool.
Well, yeah, I was just say I think there's other things that we might be able to get you on
Mhm.
for based on tonight's discussion. So, um, yeah, let's see. Joshua Jamie just said one last thing. I just read the manual and quoted it to you that they account for the curve of the Earth and gravity. Um, I'm not sure if you can respond or if you want to uh, just carry on. You can.
Gunner's Manual 16-inch, go to page 4.
All right, we are done taking super chats, everybody. So yeah, that will be the closing for our debates. Thank you, Peter and Flatzoid, for coming out. We really appreciate you here at Modern Day Debate, having these discussions. We try to keep it as neutral as we can, and I think this was great. So if you haven't already, we got some debates coming up here for next week, Friday already. It's Friday coming up. We have the Trump or Biden debate, Alex Stein versus Dr. JF Garapi. So if you haven't hit the notification bell for that one, do so. I've also got two new speakers that I've been working with, allegedly Ian, who's on TikTok, and then I have another fellow that's on TikTok called The Right Corner that I'm going to be hosting hopefully this Sunday. And then we also have a debate that we're going to have the exact date to be determined yet, so you'll see that in there. Make sure you hit the notification. It's going to be Destiny versus Dr. Javad Hashmi. So once again, hit all the notifications for that so you don't miss out on those live debates. We appreciate everybody in our live chat hanging out. We will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Woohoo! That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? All right, glad to see so much engagement. There's a lot of people hanging out on Sunday for this debate. It was a lot of fun. Lots of great energy from the speakers here. So I'm glad to see also such great energy in the live chat. Once again, if you guys haven't hit the like button, do so. We got these events coming up as well that I mentioned just before the closing. We're still trying to determine the debate between Destiny there and Javad, but we will get that up and running here hopefully soon. And then, of course, there's going to be, well, let me just see here. I think there's a couple ones right now that are just listed for the podcast reminders for the previous debates here. So I'll just leaf through for a second. Yes, it's going to be the Alex Stein versus and Dr. J.F. Garpy. So that's going to be the Trump or Biden debate. So we may see a few more political discussions happening over a modern day debate where we're coming up election season all around. Actually, well, I mean, at some point there's always elections going on, but there's going to be the Trump or Biden discussion. We did a poll actually the other night based on the Trump versus Biden debate that had happened live. So if you didn't vote in that poll yet, you can definitely head on over into our discussion format in our YouTube page. Words are hard, okay? And yeah, let us know what you thought of that debate as well. But yeah, definitely if you haven't hit those notifications, hopefully we'll see you guys regardless. And yeah, hopefully I didn't miss anything. I saw that there was a few chats in the question that I couldn't get to, not super chats, but just ones that were at me. I'm sorry that we couldn't get to all of them. I know that Flatzoid's got an after show that he's doing, and also Peter's also headed off to, I think, Matters Now for an after show. So yeah, if you want to check them out, their links are in the description for both speakers. They will be linked in the podcast forums as well. So definitely check them out. And if you're hungry to hear from more of them right now and maybe hear some of their breakdowns on the discussion that they just had, they're going to be hanging out in their respective spaces. So yeah, thanks everybody again. We'll see you next time.